Hello everyone, thank you for joining us here at the Beatles Story. I'm Nick, and come and join me on an incredible musical journey where we'll learn everything about the Beatles. Let's get started. In 1966, the Beatles were not only the most famous band in the world, but they were also amongst the most well-known individuals globally. Since their debut on the music scene with Love Me Do in October 1962, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison and Ringo Starr had, within 4 years, significantly influenced the development of popular music. They've been awarded MBEs by the Queen and were closely associated with the cultural movement known as the Swinging 60s. However, their journey was not without controversy. In the United States, the band attracted criticism after John Lennon stated that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. Although the same remark had been published in a British newspaper months earlier without causing a significant reaction, in America the comment prompted public backlash and Lennon had to issue an apology. In August 1966, the Beatles ceased touring, largely due to the inability to hear themselves perform over the noise of their fans. Despite their popularity and success, the members of the band were frequently unable to leave their homes without being approached by fans or members of the press. George Martin, the band's producer, later described their experience during this period as extremely intense. By 1966, the only place where the Beatles knew they would be left alone to be creative was the EMI studios at Abbey Road. In November of that year, the band returned to Abbey Road to begin work on an album that would later be widely regarded as their major achievement, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. To understand the development of Sgt. Pepper, it's necessary to look back at the band's first single, Love Me Do, which was released on the 5th of October 1962. Love Me Do reached number 17 on the UK charts and was characterised by its simplicity, consisting of just 3 chords, C, D and G. By 1966, the Beatles had released their latest album, Revolver, which included songs such as Taxman, Eleanor Rigby and For No One. These tracks reflected political themes, poetic expression and musical innovation. Beginning with the album Rubber Soul in 1965, the band's music and lyrics had become increasingly complex. George Harrison was also contributing songs considered equal in quality to those by Lennon and McCartney. The final track on Revolver, Tomorrow Never Knows, attracted particular attention. Its lyrics were influenced by the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and it featured Indian-style drones, reverse guitar parts, and experimental tape loops. This marked a significant departure from the simplicity of Love Me Do, demonstrating the band's rapid music evolution. Music critics were astonished by the songs on Revolver. They noted the significant musical progression the Beatles had made in 4 years since the release of Love Me Do. With Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the Beatles extended their experimentation even further. Before recording Sgt. Pepper, the Beatles took a break from their usual schedule. Paul McCartney spent this time engaging with the art scene in London, attending theatre productions, visiting art galleries and listening to avant-garde or experimental music. John Lennon travelled to Almeria in Spain to act in the film How I Won the War. George Harrison visited India for 6 weeks to explore spiritual practices, and Ringo Starr remained in England to spend time with his family, including his newborn son, Zach. In Almeria, John Lennon stayed at a villa with gates that reminded him of Strawberry Field, a children's home near his childhood home in Liverpool. Inspired, he began writing Strawberry Fields Forever, a song that marked the beginning of Sgt. Pepper's recording sessions, even though it did not appear on the Sgt. Pepper album. The Beatles began recording Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band on the 24th of November 1966 at Abbey Road Studios. The initial recording session focused on 3 songs, Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane and When I'm 64. Paul McCartney wrote Penny Lane in response to John Lennon's Strawberry Fields Forever. Both songs were inspired by their childhoods and were released together in February 1967 as a double A-side single, offering the British public an early preview of the Beatles' new direction. The double A-side of Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane was later described by critics as one of the most significant British releases. However, it became the first Beatles single since Please Please Me not to reach #1. This led to the British press speculating that the Beatles were declining or even on the verge of splitting up. When Paul McCartney heard the rumours, aware of the work being done on Sgt. Pepper, he thought, just you wait. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band has been recognised for its musical innovation and experimentation. Each member of the band brought distinct interests and influences. Paul McCartney engaged with a wide range of music and visual art. John Lennon had a strong interest in literature and current affairs. George Harrison immersed himself in Indian music and spirituality. And Ringo Starr contributed significantly as a drummer and vocalist, singing lead on With a Little Help from My Friends and delivering a notable performance on A Day in the Life. The album began with the title track, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The idea for the song came to Paul McCartney during a flight home from Kenya. After seeing Salt and Pepper Shakers, the phrase Sgt. Pepper came to mind. McCartney proposed the concept of giving the band a new identity, which was well received by the other members. This new approach allowed the group to explore their creativity with a sense of renewed artistic freedom. John Lennon wrote the song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. In an interview years later, he explained that the inspiration came after his son Julian drew a picture in school of a little girl surrounded by stars. When John asked what it was, Julian replied, "It's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Daddy." Lennon was inspired to write a song based on the drawing. The lyrics were influenced by his interest in the surreal children's book Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. One of the tracks on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was Within You Without You, written by George Harrison. The song reflected his interest in Indian music and spirituality. Harrison had spent time in India learning to play the sitar with Ravi Shankar, who was regarded as one of the greatest sitar players in the world. Influenced by this experience, Harrison composed Within You Without You, a song that featured Indian musicians and an Indian-inspired classical arrangement created by producer George Martin. The song marked a significant moment in the album's musical diversity by incorporating elements of world music. Another notable track on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was She's Leaving Home. Written primarily by Paul McCartney, the song featured only John Lennon and Paul McCartney on vocals. It told the story of a young woman who left her childhood home early one morning without informing her parents, in order to live with a man who, according to the lyrics, works in the motor trade. The narrative resembled an English short story or poem, and was accompanied by a score performed by a small string orchestra. When McCartney played the song to Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, Wilson reportedly wept upon hearing it. The final track on Sgt. Pepper was A Day in the Life, which is widely considered a significant work in the band's catalogue. Lennon wrote most of the opening and closing verses, while the middle section was contributed by Paul McCartney. All four members of the Beatles, along with producer George Martin, collaborated on the track. The song blended various elements. Lennon sang lines that resembled observations made while reading a newspaper, while McCartney contributed a section based on childhood memories of riding the bus to school. The structure and the content of the song provided a portrayal of life in England, merging different times and perspectives. The track concluded with a powerful orchestral crescendo, marking the end of the album. It was not only the music on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band that was different. The album's cover, designed by British pop artist Peter Blake, was also notable. It featured the four Beatles in their Sgt. Pepper uniforms, surrounded by full-size cutouts of various figures they admired, including Marilyn Monroe, Sigmund Freud, and members of the Rolling Stones. The album also included the complete lyrics to every song printed on the back cover, marking the first time this had been done on a popular rock music album. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was released on the 26th of May 1967. The BBC Light programme broadcast the entire album on the 20th of May. At the time, members of the press and many critics, some of whom had speculated just 6 months earlier that the Beatles might be nearing the end of their career, offered widespread praise for the album. A critic for the New Statesman noted that the album had elevated popular music to the level of fine art. Kenneth Tynan, writing for The Times, stated that Sgt. Pepper represented a decisive moment in the history of Western civilization. In the years that followed, the reputation of Sgt. Pepper continued to grow. It came to be regarded by many as the greatest album in the Beatles' catalogue. Why not step into the world of the Fab Four at the Beatles Story, an exhibition dedicated to the Beatles? Discover their journey from Liverpool to global fame, featuring immersive exhibitions and rare memorabilia. Experience the magic, music and legacy that changed the world forever.